Risk Management, and I'm here to talk about ransomware, e-phishing, man-in-the-middle attacks, and hacking. How prepared is your organization? Today I will be covering state of cybersecurity, current cybersecurity threats, including ransomware, man-in-the-middle attacks, e-phishing, social engineering. We'll go into regulations and compliance, and then finish with the risk management process. The evolution of security. Um, I like to tell people about how what we're now securing is very different from what it's been in the past. We started having to protect our property, then our possessions, and then our person. Then we started having to protect data. We started having to do this with paper, data in paper, and then we moved to having to protect our data, digital data. And we started using tools for the digital data, um, such as having antivirus firewalls in place. But now we've got this new challenge of virtual selves, and having a virtual self and having so much information about us out and available on the internet, we have to find a whole new way to protect ourselves and to protect our identity. And it's going to take new tools, and I'm here today to talk to you about what are the new threats and what are the new tools. So your assets at risk, I want you to think about um, your business today, and your business is built on information. So what information does your company have that others would find valuable? In addition, what would happen if your information was compromised? And if you think about these questions as we go through the presentation, you'll get a lot more out of it. But think about the financial damage that could happen if somebody got a hold of your bank account. Think of the credibility damage if people found out that you were breached. In some cases, you are required by law to inform people, your customers, and even the media if there's a breach. What are the legal implications and regulatory requirements? There can be fines, there can be significant fines, even jail time for a breach. And then what would it do to your business process? What would it do to the process of your business if you were breached? It could halt the way that you do business. You could lose a day, couple days worth of work. So the state of cybersecurity. The National Cybersecurity Alliance asked small, medium-sized businesses um, about their cybersecurity. 77% say their company is safe from cyber threats. 66% say they're not concerned with hackers, cyber criminals, or even employees stealing data. And just less than half believe a data breach would have no impact on their business. So roughly half of people don't think it would impact them at all. So, but the thing is, and with that, their actions follow their thoughts. So 87% don't have a written security policy in place, and 83% do not have a system to require employees to periodically change their passwords. One of the easiest things you can do for a significant impact for cybersecurity. Here's the reality. 71% of all breaches target small, medium-sized business, and that's because it's easier. Large businesses have a lot of pieces in place. They've been working on cybersecurity for a few years now, and they've built some pretty decent defenses. And when you're looking for what's the easiest way to hack a company, it's the small to medium-sized business, because they're behind. They haven't done the due diligence necessary. The scary part, 60% of small businesses close within 6 months of experiencing a breach. So that is very scary that more than half of businesses after they have a breach go out of business. So a little bit of information here. So like said, a breach alone is not a disaster. It's mishandling it that is. So that 40% of businesses that go out of business mishandle their breaches. And most companies do mishandle breaches. Here's another, this is a quote from the United Kingdom, but I really like this one. There's no conceivable system that can stop one person in 100 from opening a phishing email, but that's all it takes. So a phishing email we'll get into in a second, but that is just an email specifically designed to trick you or your employees into clicking on it to unleash some type of a payload with a cyber tool on it, whether it could be a Trojan, whether it could be ransomware, something that would do ill to your systems. But it's so easy for them to get in. So what is the cost of a breach? You can see here in this chart, it's IBM sponsors it. It's the Ponemon Institute, but they are the leading think tank when it comes to cybersecurity, and they've gone industry by industry to show you what is the cost of a breach in that industry. And when you think that the average breach includes thousands of records, this is a per record amount. So multiply any of these, find your industry and multiply it times a couple thousand, because that's the average size of a breach, a small to medium sized breach. And you can see how it gets expensive very fast. One thing I want to add, banks do not refund illicit money lost in illicit transfers. So if somebody hacks your organization, learns about your bank account information, and that money disappears, there's nothing the banks can do. It's gone, and they won't refund it. You're just out that money. Another data point here, this is from the National Small Business Association. The average small business data breach costs $32,000. That's another reason that a lot of businesses go out of business, because if you're a small to medium sized business and you have a breach that's costing you $32,000 or more, would your business be able to stay afloat? And that's not even considering what happens to the reputation of your business when people find out that you were breached. Here's some examples of individual breaches. So I tried specifically to find some small and medium-sized business examples, as opposed to the Sonys and Targets that you hear about in the news. So Wright Hotels, this is just a smaller hotel organization, lost $1 million when the criminals convinced their bookkeeper to send money to an offshore account. They did this by phishing into them, learning a lot about their company, and sending emails from one of their vendors telling them they need to send the money to this account. By the time they realized what had happened, they'd already sent $1 million. Volunteer voyages. This is a really sad story about a not-for-profit. This not-for-profit agency had a debit card stolen, and when they were out of town doing one of their voyages to help some people in need, someone got a hold of that debit card and took all the money from it. So now they're in South America doing a good deed. They find themselves, they don't have any money for their trip. They're already out of the country. It was just a really bad incident for this really small company that thought no one will ever attack us because we're too small. They won't even notice us. And that company really had a bad incident there. Ashley Madison. For those of you who don't know what Ashley Madison is, it is a dating site for married couples who are interested in hooking up. So a lot of people aren't really excited about having that information shared. Well, Ashley Madison was hacked, and the hackers demanded a large sum of money with the threat of, we are going to let all the names of the people who use your site out if you don't pay us the ransom that we're requesting. And when they didn't pay, those names were shared, and that had a really large impact on a lot of people's marriages, and really had a wide range of impacts. And then I list mom's computer on here because a lot of people have a mom with a computer, and she checks Facebook and doesn't do a whole lot, but one of the things she does is she keeps the family pictures on there. And when she gets hit by ransomware, the bad guys ask for about $500, not even a large amount of money, but they lock down her pictures, and they say, we've got your pictures, we have your tax information, and we're not going to give it back unless you pay us this ransom. And their computer may not even be worth $500, but they pay it because they don't want to lose that information. So how do they do this? So what are the tools they use to cause this pain? There's the evolving malware threat. There are 1 million new pieces of malware created a day. So when you look at your firewall and your antivirus, how do you stop this influx of new material that's being created on a daily basis? They just can't update those fast enough. and there are always vulnerabilities. The attacks are everywhere. There are so many attacks out there right now, so many types of malware. It's so difficult to stay ahead of that game. The new one is ransomware. And ransomware simply encrypts your data and demands a payment for the release. There are 4,000 new pieces of ransomware. Um, there were 4,000 daily ransomware attacks in 2016, which was a huge increase over 2015, and it's expected to be even bigger in 2017. Man-in-the-middle attacks, this is where someone in a public area poses as a legitimate free Wi-Fi address, but ends up taking all your information. Phishing, this is where someone puts together a con email with the desire to get a financial gain or to infiltrate into your system by getting someone to click on a link that they aren't supposed to. And social engineering is where you specifically target a member of a specific organization. So here's the dreaded black screen of death. This is a ransomware screen. So this is telling you have 12 hours to pay your ransom or you're going to lose your information. One thing we've learned is that they give you a little bit more time because they like you to pay your ransomware in Bitcoin. And the bad guys were finding that businesses weren't able to get Bitcoin together in 12 hours. And most businesses didn't know how to get Bitcoin. So what they've done, the cyber criminals, is they've set up call centers. There are now cyber criminal call centers to help you learn how to get Bitcoin, help you do that quickly and efficiently so that you can pay your ransom, which I find is fascinating. So ransomware is malicious software designed to block access to your computer system until ransom is paid. Even if you pay the ransom, there's no guarantee that you're going to get your information back. There'll be over 1 million attacks in 2016. 210 million was paid to cyber criminals through ransomware just in Q1 of 2016 alone. 2/3 of all exploit kits have ransomware payloads. That means whether it's e-phishing or some other type of tool used to your employees, the majority of these have a ransomware payload right now. Ransomware is usually delivered via email and likes payment in Bitcoin.